Ryan Day became the head coach in 2019, taking over for Urban Meyer, whose career came to a tumultuous end with the Zach Smith saga. Now, Ryan Day coming in brought in the type of quarterback recruit in 2017 when he joined the staff that Ohio State had never really seen before. They're a run team, run first team. But under Ryan Day, things have slowly shifted. Sure, Ohio State has had the likes of Joe Germain, Rex Kern, Troy Smith, before Urban Meyer, before Ryan Day. But since Day got there, we've had Dwayne Haskins, a first-round pick, Justin Fields, a first-round pick, C.J. Stroud, a first-round pick. The type of high-end recruits that get drafted high. Now, of course, in the NFL, not all of them pan out, but Ohio State has never recruited the quarterback position like they have under Ryan Day. Ohio State's identity started really with Paul Brown, maybe even Chick Harley back in the late 1910s, but Paul Brown in the 40s really established Ohio State as a run-first program. Woody Hayes continued that. Earl Bruce continued that. John Cooper had a mixture, but still was run-heavy with the likes of Eddie George and Pepe Pearson, Michael Wiley, and the crew. Ohio State has always been a offensive line driven program when we look at the offensive, scheme and how we attack defenses. It's just always been that way. Jim Trust continued it, and of course Urban Meyer continued with his spread per offense, a new development, of course. A new take on the old thing, but it was physical smash mouth football as opposed to what we see now kind of with Ryan Day taking over. Urban Meyer's favorite player in his time at Ohio State is a toss-up between Braxton Miller and JT. Some would argue JT for sure, and I kind of would lean into that. But Ryan Day recruited a different type of quarterback. Dwayne Haskins came in and completely shattered the Big Ten passing records, not just Ohio State passing records. Big Ten passing records with 4,800 yards and some, and 50 touchdowns in one season in 2018. That opened up the floodgates for quarterbacks wanting to come to Ohio State. But it also was a key distinction in the philosophy of the Ohio State offense and the way we attack defenses. Once Urban Meyer's offensive line recruits started leaving the program, Ohio State started struggling mightily in end-of-game situations to kill clock, as well as key short down situational football in 3rd and short and 4th and short as time progressed under his tutelage. Once the Paris Johnson Jr.'s, the DeJuan Jones, and the likes were gone, Ohio State really, really struggled to run the ball in those crucial situations like I mentioned. And that leads me to my theory as to why. One, Ohio State is just not pulling in the type of offensive line talent that they're used to under Urban and under Tressel and previous regimes. The second reason being we don't practice against an elite run game in practice because Ohio State doesn't possess one at this point. And we have game breakers and game busters like Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins in the lineup this year, and they're probably gonna run the ball well against the weaker teams. So Ohio State attracts elite quarterbacks, elite wide receivers, and elite defensive backs, being DBU along there right with LSU. We also attract elite defensive linemen under Larry Johnson and under Ryan Day's tutelage. But here's the thing. We have these amazing competitions between wide receivers and quarterbacks in practice. Nobody else can boast what we can do in practice, between corners and wideouts. But between offensive line and defensive line, we have a defensive line that overpowers a weaker offensive line in practice. And we have a pass-heavy offense now. And so we're not practicing the run game nearly as much as we practice the pass game in practice. So therefore, when you face teams like Michigan or Georgia or the like, that Alabama that has powerful offensive lines, our defensive line is used to winning these battles and getting away with bad technique and bad, football. because they're used to demolishing Ohio State's offensive line in practice. And so since our defense is not practicing against an elite offensive run game, a power run game, they don't hold up in these physical matchups. You know, the game has always been won in the trenches. 22 years in a row, the team with the most rushing yards has won the game between Ohio State and Michigan. 22 years in a row. And I would venture to guess, if I look throughout history, I would say upwards of 85% of the time, the team that runs the ball the best wins the football game in the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. It's just the way it is, you know. Maybe it's only 80%, but I'd venture around 85. And Ohio State has that talent advantage where they can pummel teams of equal talent value, and especially the teams like Akron on the schedule this year and teams of that matter. You know, they run up the score against most Big Ten teams. But now, when you run into an elite pass game or elite run game in the playoffs or versus Michigan, you're seeing the results on the field for yourselves. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to point this out or notice this. It's really remarkable that the Buckeyes have shifted under Day slowly. It took some time to a pass-first offense as opposed to a run-first offense. That has been their identity. It has shifted. It's clear. It's evident. Has Ryan Day learned from the last 3 years of, you know, 2 beatdowns and 1 very close loss in Ann Arbor this last year? I'm a little skeptical because of the players he's brought in through the transfer portal. The Caleb Downs. You know, he did bring in 1 offensive lineman, Seth McLaughlin, but obviously that's causing a lot of Michigan fans to laugh because he's not the best snapper. Ohio State's offensive line is good to decent on the center through the left guard and the left tackle, but our right side of the line is really problematic. And I'm not sure Ryan Day has learned his lesson based on who he's brought in the transfer portal and who they've gotten in recruiting. You know, it's a little bit problematic for me because I know Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer are in his ear about how to win this game and have talked to him about how to win this game. But I don't see much of a shift in philosophy. Maybe Chip Kelly bringing in, that's our hope, that, you know, he will establish a run game, but you need elite offensive linemen to have an elite run game. We've got Henderson and Judkins, elite backs, but they're not going to be going anywhere without an elite offensive lineman to pave the way for them. So my question to you is, literally, has Ryan Day learned his lesson yet on how to win the Michigan game, aka playoff games as well, against teams with elite, powerful run games? I really am questioning that quite a bit. I really hope so. I think the Chip Kelly hire is good. I don't know if it'll make an impact for this year because I really doubt that Will Howard is a massive upgrade over Colin McCord at this point. And so it's really interesting to see them enter this season kind of with the same constructed roster, you know, with some nice additions. If they've truly learned the lesson, will Chip Kelly make the difference? Will he veto Ryan Day in play calling? I sure hope so. We're going to find out what happens, but we're not going to know much until the Oregon game. And so we'll sit back and we'll see and hope for the best. That's all we can do. Is it's only May. But go Bucks and God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like this video. And we'll see you for another one coming up tomorrow with Rob. All right. Take care. Have a good night.